Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to talk about the 2017 movie from Netflix, War Machine. So, this depiction of the story, because it is not just the story of one person uh, or personality. And whoops, sorry about that for people that are queasy. Are you easy queasy? Well, I apologize. Okay. So it's really the story of kind of pumping up the actual retired Army General Stanley McChrystal. And it is a dramatization, so it's based on fact, but they fiction tweaked it. So in it, kind of McChrystal is like the hero. But if you know that, or the person or character in the story that represents McChrystal is called Glenn McMahon. So in the story, Glenn McMahon is fairly celebrated by his colleagues, especially his closest minions. I didn't even list all of the people. I can't. There's not enough space, but the including, which starts down here and some of which is over there. I don't know why they had some pretty big names at the bottom of the cast list. It was, I guess, but of course by appearance, but still, it's weird. Like Ben Kingsley and Meg Tilly are like way at the bottom. I don't think that's right, because they figure pretty highly in the film, or at least Kingsley does. Whatever. So, what I know about McChrystal is fairly accurate, I think, in the film. The film, how snooty. In the movie, that he was a general, which means to ascend the ranks. You have to be doing, like, right things. However, that is in the eyes of the army, okay? Because he was in the army branch of the military. So you right things as the army sees is right, which is not necessarily the civilian way you see things. And I just wrote a piece about this on WordPress, how, well, it wasn't about this, but I did make the comment inside the piece where once people join a military service, they go through a basic training process, and that is when they strip away the you that you go in as, and they remake you. And often that includes remaking your brain, like the way you think, and the way you think of yourself, the way you think of yourself in relation to others. And my thing is, it separates us. It puts us in places where one becomes less than the other, and there's equality vanishes. And I know that it is a very different thing to serve in the military and experience the types of things that they experience, but it does not it doesn't diminish what we all go through here at home or wherever we happen to be. Like, having seen action in combat in the military service defines that part of that person that served. It doesn't necessarily apply to other people, but it doesn't take away from what other people have done or gone through. Like, I just don't believe that's a well-thinking way to be. Like, you have no idea what a person goes through, how large or small it's going to affect them. But anyway, he had long ago crossed over into I'm different and better land, because Brad Pitt has portrayed him so well. But it's funny because You know that's not how Brad Pitt is. I mean, I don't know the guy at all, but I know he's not a squared away, uptight, run 7 miles in 20,000 degree weather every day. And I don't know. There's certainly something to be said for that life where you maintain a standard of fitness mentally and physically through exercise and maintaining good health. And but you don't have to be in the military to do any of that. Those are all things that you can accomplish outside of a command structure. But because they're in that command structure, I'm sorry, this is probably going to piss somebody off, but they labor under the illusion that they're more important because they're within this command structure. And it's like, hi, a main word is command. You got somebody over you telling you what to do. To me, that's not... Team is one thing, and there's definitely a need sometimes for a military. I just don't think we use ours properly or wisely or compassionately a lot of times. And it's just like I feel, get this sort of superior feeling about themselves. And it's like with police, like once they join the cops, they get a mentality where everybody who's not a cop is actively a criminal and some kind of like vermin. And wow, if you, I think, want to diminish human life that much just because you made a career change, hello, something ain't working right in there. I don't think that's not right. That's your job. That's where you go do stuff and they pay you to do it. And I would look also to all of the veterans, but oh God, they got a lot to beef about. Like on this side of the screen in reality. Camp Lejeune, civil suits. You don't know what that's about? That's a good reason to know what you're signing up for, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, McChrystal, what I got from this was the man, the king of his little domain, okay? And he had his subjects who worshipped him and believed everything he believed. I mean, it's just a real, like, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a cult to me. It sounds like brainwashing. Like, inside of the military command structure, this guy is... I understand that they do that on purpose and it serves on the battlefield, but it doesn't make for great people. Like, interacting with other people, they come back and really believe all they can ever do is do war stuff, which means killing and shutting off your emotions and all kinds of like weird and unusual stuff you don't want to be doing when you're not in those situations. It doesn't work for like anybody, especially the people that come back to the world and they can't deal. It's like, well, this is what they do for you. They put you in that training and they change you, and then you come back home and you don't know how to act, and it's not good. So what happens in the movie is that, and this was made very small, so that tells you kind of which way the people that made this were kind of leaning, I guess. But they made Micheal Hastings' character very small, and really, he was the catalyst for the story even existing. He wrote, this is in reality, the character of Micheal Hastings is played by Emery Cohen. The character's name is Willie Dunn. So he's the embedded journalist from Rolling Stone. And on this side of the screen, in reality, Micheal Hastings, the real guy, wrote a piece in Rolling Stone that was very revealing about McChrystal and his ways and his whole kind of cadre of people around him and their disrespect for, like, non-military types, the president, which, I mean, at any time of, like, American world that I have been around for, or and to learn about, to know of. The Caucasian people are not the hugest fans of the black people. And when it comes to authority, when you get those law enforcement jobs, which is essentially what military is on just like the biggest scale imaginable, but overall, they're cops. And that comes along with a certain mentality. And a lot of police officers, while they work with plenty of people of color and black people, I don't know why they separate black people from people of color. Everybody that you're talking about with a color is a person of color. But anyway, it's kind of known to attract people with racist tendencies and authoritarian tendencies, because that's the kind of people that want those jobs. They want to boss people around and tell them what to do. And maybe they came back from some conflict overseas and they don't know how to not be savage physically on their own people here at home. It does stuff to your mind, I think, that is not healthy. So, Hastings, or Dunn in the movie, accompanies McMahon and his troops to Europe. And the Icelandic volcano happened that grounded flights from Europe basically for a couple of months. Like, just, you couldn't fly. You couldn't see. The planes would have gotten dust in their intake manifolds. Like, no, you can't fly. But these meatheads were so concerned about looking weak, like, oh, there is an act of God that's preventing me from being able to just jump in a plane and fly. That was Anthony Michael Hall's character. Hold on. Okay. Whoops. Anthony Michael Hall's character, Greg Poulter. Greg Poulter. And I just want to make a quick observation. I believe that Michael Anthony Hall, Brad Pitt, and myself are all within a year of each other in age. And why does Michael Anthony Hall look so much older than us? Like, what is going on in your life? Compared to the scrawny guy you saw in the Breakfast Club, I gotta wonder what happened in between there. I mean, it looks like more than just, natural physical growth where you fill out as a man. He looks like he's been through some stuff. Okay, observation over about that silliness. Where was I? Well, okay, so Poulter is just like, remember, well, if you watched Key and Peele, they had the sketch where Peele, can't think of his first name, would watch or would do his Obama impression, but then Key would stand behind him, kind of like a president's body man would, I guess, and he would relate his emotions that Obama couldn't say, like the angry Negro stuff. So that is kind of like how Poulter is to McMahon here. Like, McMahon, he's got them all so trained. He doesn't even have to say anything, really. He can just stand there and look, oh my God, this smug and self-satisfied, and just, you wanted to strangle. And it was hard, okay, because in my mind, I know this is supposed to be McChrystal, and I don't want to sound like I'm like against the guy. He accomplished a lot. He did it for his country where I live. I appreciate that. He put himself in dangerous places willingly. But the thing is, he made a kingdom there, and he gets a visit from his wife, Jeannie, played by Meg Tilly, the awesome, wonderful Meg Tilly. I love her. I love those sisters as actresses or actors. And he can barely relate to the poor woman, and she's obviously tiptoeing on eggshells around him. And it was just really stressful. I'm sorry, it felt abusive. And there was a dramatization. I have no idea what their actual relationship is like, but man, dude was gone a lot. She references it in the movie. She only saw him like 60 times a year. And then he got all bent out of shape because she would dare question, I guess, anything about him, which, I mean, I would kind of believe that in the real guy, just coming from this background that he seems to have come from. A military family, like everybody went in, and it just seems like the wife to him has such a minuscule role in his life and so little to input that he seemed to give a damn about. It was hard to watch. uh, Sorry, I'm having actor things going on in my mind. Like, I don't want Brad Pitt to talk to Meg Tilly like that. That's not real. I know that. And they're not the real people. I also know that. I just get really tuned into these things and start feeling stuff. Okay, so anyway, Poulter was like McMahon's Luther. Like, he could get all mad and scream and yell, and McMahon could just sit there and like let his adjutant handle it. I think that's a military position. His executive assistant, I guess you'd say. So they had what you would expect in like a military movie. They had people, or it's not a military movie. I guess it's a kind of a period piece. So, but they had people representing the Obama government too. And the way that they were portrayed was just kind of like what I call head up your ass, where you are like really full of yourself, and yes, you have high, good qualifications, but that does not necessarily make you the better human being or the more knowledgeable human being. The whole, like, everybody in that high echelon of politics, military, whatever it is, you get a lot of money, you get a lot of power, you get a lot of attention, and woo, your head expands correspondently and exponentially. But for me, looking on this sort of situation, it makes you sort of unreachable to people who in our society we just make it like a lower rank, a lesser position if you don't have this diploma, if you don't have this qualification, if you haven't done this thing, that thing, and the other thing, or if you're not this, that, or the other thing, or if you don't look a certain way. Like, we put so many expectations on each other that's just unreasonable. Oh, I guess I should interrupt myself to specifically point out my YouTube disclaimers there. And I have radio playing here in the background. It's not really very intrusive right now. Yeah, so it reminded me of the incident at the time, where what happens is, oh my gosh, should I spoil it? I'm just going to spoil the hell out of it. This is old news. So embedded Willie Dunn / Hastings accompanies McMahon and his troop to Europe, and then the volcano happens and they can't go anywhere. And so meanwhile, they're like, well, shoot, we can't do stuff. Can we drink? And then they do. But it's made to seem like because they drank, they said inappropriate things. I do not think that is the case. In fact, that was not what I saw. They didn't need to be drinking to say and do and act inappropriately, do inappropriate things. They thought they were like some kind of little kings or something, like invincible, and no one could tell them what to do. And the president, A black president? Who can take that seriously? Who can listen to that guy? Now, see, that what I just said, that's not explicitly said in the movie, but it's there. I see it. Because it's reality. I mean, go ahead, write it away, please, and then maybe it will, like, take root in reality. Like, go away with all of that stuff that we don't need more to argue about. We don't even need anything to argue about, in my opinion. That's like a big waste of time. We really have more important things to worry about. You know what? Here's a news flash. We should fix our climate before anything else, because I do surveys a lot, and one question they always ask is, what is your first priority if things were going to get fixed? I'm paraphrasing here, but it'll be like high crime, taxes, healthcare, schools, stuff like that. And then climate change will be in there somewhere, and I'll always put climate change at the top, because none of it matters if we don't have some place where we can live. And that's what I get for being a smarty pants. I sucked in a bunch of air and choked. Air is supposed to help me live, not kill me. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up here. And I want to say, I usually don't focus a lot on like directors and stuff, or set design, or costumes, or lighting, cinematography. I do see it, but it's not my main focus unless it's super fantastic. And in this, it wasn't. It was just like nothing special. It was a lot of people in rooms talking, so, and that's fine. It was well done, but again, not the focus of the film for me. Ooh, getting snooty again. Not the focus of it though for me. So, I wrote also a piece on my WordPress about this Micheal Hastings business that they really did not talk about at all in this movie, and I can kind of understand in a way why it was kind of stayed away from, because on any movie with the military or police, there will be a consultant, and that consultant is there to make sure that that entity is portrayed correctly and the way they want to be portrayed. So I have a lot more to say about this story and Micheal Hastings, and so I will link my WordPress piece to the information box below this video. It was wonderful to talk to you today on this lovely Sunday. I am gonna go do some awake baking, and then I'll see you later. Thank you and good night. Oops, I missed.